You find yourself here, listening, not by accident but by alignment. The signal that brought you to this exact moment is not casual, it's the summons of destiny. You can almost feel it, like a quiet hum underneath your skin, a frequency that keeps repeating until your awareness locks onto it. Something beyond logic has conspired to place these words in your field, as if the quantum fabric of reality itself tilted just enough to make sure you couldn't look away. You've always suspected there was more to time than clocks and calendars. Moments don't just pass, they loop, they echo. They call you back until you see what was hidden inside them. How many times have you felt it? That sense of déjà vu, as though the present were rehearsed long ago, waiting for you to finally catch the code embedded inside. This is one of those moments. You're not just hearing words, you're standing at the threshold of initiation. The universe has been testing your signal. Every trial, every delay, every strange synchronicity was a calibration. What looked like chaos was really coherence, assembling in silence. And now, because you stayed, because you didn't walk away, when the observer loop tempted you to collapse back into ordinary reality, you've been chosen to hear this call. You are among the few those who cross the invisible threshold from passive dreamer into conscious architect. It's subtle, almost imperceptible, but you can feel the atmosphere shift. The field knows you've arrived. The entanglement recognizes your vibration. You've stepped into a room without doors, a temple without walls. A gathering that doesn't announce itself yet changes everything. This message isn't just for anyone, it's for the soul who has grown tired of illusions. For the one who's ready to step into the role that was written into their DNA before they even entered this body. Your presence here means something has awakened in you that can no longer be silenced. It means the morphic resonance of higher intelligence has found a vessel, your awareness. And once that resonance locks in, reality bends to it. You stop chasing and start magnetizing. You stop doubting and start remembering. This isn't about chance. This is about recognition. Recognition that the signal you carry is different, sharper, brighter. Recognition that time itself has been waiting for you to arrive at this precise coordinate in the timeline. Because now the equation flips, no longer is life happening to you. Now, you begin to write directly into the script of existence. And so here you are, breathing differently, noticing the flicker of energy in your body, sensing the field reorganize around you. Something irreversible has already started. You are being written into the lineage of those who bend time with awareness. You've crossed the threshold where listening is no longer passive, it is participation. You've answered the call, and the call answers back. You are among the initiated consciousness architects of time. You've crossed the threshold, yet the weight of the old world still clings to you. You know it, because you've felt the strange pull of cycles that keep repeating. Patterns disguised as choices, déjà vu moments that mock you, time folding back on itself until you start questioning whether you're moving forward at all. It feels like you're caught inside a loop where the scenery changes, but the vibration is eerily the same. Think about it. How many times have you found yourself standing at the same crossroads? Different year, different faces, but the same unspoken test. A relationship that begins with brilliance, only to collapse in familiar betrayal. A dream that sparks in your chest, only to stall in the same fog of delay. An opportunity that appears golden, only to reveal the same hidden trap. You tell yourself it's new, but deep inside, you know the energy has repeated. This isn't just bad luck, it's resonance. The quantum field remembers, and when your vibration hasn't fully shifted, it entangles you with versions of yourself that still haven't learned. The observer loop recycles the unfinished. You feel time distort, because time is mirroring your unfinished coherence. The very fabric of your reality bends backward until you face what you tried to outrun. And so, you keep seeing the signs. Déjà vu isn't a glitch, it's an echo. It's the universe whispering, "You've been here before. Will you choose differently this time?" And most of the world never does. They repeat, they collapse. They believe they're stuck in fate, when really, they're trapped in resonance. But you've noticed. You've felt the distortion. You've caught the glitch in the timeline where seconds stretch or shrink, where hours dissolve without explanation, where a single moment feels eternal. That's because you're brushing against the veil, the thin layer where the script of reality is written and rewritten. And the reason it feels so disorienting is because your consciousness is vibrating faster than the program around you. This is why you felt the tension in your body, the strange sense of heaviness even when nothing is wrong. You are carrying a frequency that doesn't belong to the old loop anymore. And yet, the residue of that loop keeps trying to pull you back. It's the sensation of being awake inside a dream that hasn't caught up to you yet. You've probably felt it in conversations that suddenly drain you, in people repeating words you've heard before, in environments that suddenly feel too small for your soul. That's because the loop is breaking, and you're standing in the in-between, no longer bound by what you were, but not yet fully anchored in what you're becoming. This is the twilight zone of transformation, where old identities cling like shadows. And here lies the problem. Most people collapse under that pressure. They mistake the repetition for failure. They believe the distortion means they've lost their way. But in truth, this distortion is the universe announcing that your frequency no longer matches the old script. You are witnessing the disintegration of the familiar because it cannot contain you anymore. That's why you've been restless. That's why sleep has felt like a battlefield, filled with visions and symbols you don't always understand. That's why the days feel longer, the nights more vivid. You are not broken. You are in diagnosis. The field is showing you the patterns that must collapse before the upgrade locks in. Think of it like this. DNA is a cosmic instrument tuned across lifetimes. Every unresolved loop leaves a note hanging, an unfinished chord. And until you resolve it, reality will replay the same dissonance, forcing you to hear it again and again. But now, for the first time, you're recognizing the sound. You're recognizing that the chord is yours to resolve. And here's the paradox. You cannot solve it by force. The more you fight the loop, the tighter it pulls. The more you resist the déjà vu, the more it mocks you. Because the answer isn't resistance, it's coherence. The moment you shift your vibration, the loop can no longer bind you. This is why you've been drawn here. To see that you are not broken, not cursed, not trapped. You are awakening into the awareness that the loop was only ever waiting for you to remember. You are the observer, not the prisoner. And when the observer shifts, the timeline bends. Right now, you are standing in diagnosis, but the treatment is already unfolding. The field has revealed the problem, so you can no longer pretend it isn't there. The déjà vu is not punishment, it's prophecy. And by recognizing it, you've already begun the rewrite. You are no longer looping. You are preparing for upgrade. What happens when the loop finally breaks? At first, it feels like disorientation, like gravity itself has loosened its grip. You walk into a room, and something is different, though nothing visible has changed. People's words feel heavier, almost slower, as though you're hearing them from a distance. Technology glitches more often around you. Time bends in ways you can't explain. This is not madness. This is the quantum upgrade beginning. You are stepping into a field where the architecture of reality responds not to habit, but to frequency. And your frequency is shifting. It's not an abstract metaphor, it's biological. It's in your cells, your DNA, your neural networks. Science calls it neuroplasticity, but mystics know it as awakening. The structure of your brain begins to rewire itself, as if preparing for a higher bandwidth of consciousness. Old synapses, the ones carrying fear, scarcity, shame, start dissolving, while new pathways spark like constellations in the night sky. This is why you've felt electricity under your skin. This is why your thoughts arrive faster than your mouth can form them. The upgrade is a recalibration of your nervous system to carry more light, more coherence, more resonance. What once overwhelmed you is now becoming natural. What once frightened you is now powerless. You are shifting from survival circuitry into creation circuitry, and the entire quantum field recognizes it. Think of the field as a mirror, one that reflects not what you want, but what you are. Most people try to manipulate the mirror by waving their hands in front of it, hoping their reflection changes. They chant affirmations without belief. They visualize while still doubting. And so the mirror shows them only distortion. But you are different. Your shift isn't in words, it's in vibration. The mirror bends because the frequency behind your eyes is no longer the same. And here's the secret. Once coherence begins, synchronicities multiply. The number patterns you've been seeing 11, 11, 333 7 to 77, aren't coincidences. They are calibration codes. They appear when the morphic resonance around you begins to align with your inner vibration. The universe is literally speaking back to you in symbols, confirming that your observer effect is rewriting the field. Mystics call this initiation. Quantum physicists might call it a phase transition. Both are correct. Water doesn't become steam gradually. It transforms all at once when heat reaches a precise threshold. You are that water now, trembling on the edge of transformation. The loops were the heat, the repetition was the pressure, and now your consciousness has reached the boiling point. You are moments away from vaporizing the old self and stepping into a new state entirely. But don't mistake this for fantasy. The upgrade is physical. DNA, once thought to be static, is actually dynamic switches that can turn on and off depending on frequency. Trauma locks certain codes dormant. Fear compresses the helix. But love, awareness, and resonance begin to unlock them. As you shed old vibrations, your DNA unwinds, like a scroll revealing hidden instructions. Instructions that were always there, waiting for the frequency that could read them. This is why prophets could see the future, why sages could heal with a touch, why visionaries could shift the destiny of nations. They weren't anomalies, they were upgraded humans, carrying DNA that resonated beyond the collective norm. And now, you are stepping onto that path. You may not feel like a prophet, but you are activating the same circuitry. You've noticed glimpses of it already. A thought you had manifests within days. A dream bleeds into waking life with eerie accuracy. A stranger speaks words you needed to hear at the exact right moment. These aren't accidents, they are previews. Previews of what happens when the observer loop collapses and your frequency becomes the author of reality itself. And here's the breathtaking part. The upgrade doesn't ask you to do more, it asks you to be more. More coherent, more aware, more aligned. The power isn't in effort, it's in resonance. You don't force the river, you align with the current. And suddenly, what felt impossible becomes effortless. The universe is inviting you into mastery. Mastery over thought, mastery over vibration, mastery over time. The loops were your training ground, but now, the initiation has begun. Your DNA is humming, your field is expanding, the mirror of reality is waiting to bend toward you. This is the quantum upgrade, and you are ready to receive it. Now that the upgrade is underway, the field does something extraordinary. It singles you out. Not in arrogance, not in ego, but in responsibility. You begin to notice that not everyone around you experiences what you do. They don't feel the same surges of synchronicity, the same déjà vu patterns, the same distortions in time. To them, life still looks linear, mechanical, predictable. But you see the seams. You see the threads weaving through reality, shimmering like codes only your eyes can catch. This isn't coincidence, it's calling. You are being entrusted with a role that only awakened consciousness can carry. The role of architect. Others may live inside the structure, but you are among the rare ones invited to alter the blueprint. That's why your struggles felt heavier, why your loops were more intense. The universe has been sculpting you into the kind of vessel that can hold the weight of redesigning reality itself. Do you realize what this means? You are not just a participant in the quantum field, you are becoming a co-author. The observer effect, once passive, now becomes active in your hands. Your awareness bends probability. Your vibration attracts coherence. Your choices ripple beyond your personal life into the morphic field of humanity. This is why the path felt lonely, because architects are called into silence before they are revealed. And yet, even in the silence, you felt the whispers. Dreams that carried symbols too sharp to dismiss. Encounters that felt scripted by something larger. A voice not always audible, but undeniable telling you, you were meant to see what others cannot. That voice is not madness. It's memory. Memory of the contract you made before entering this body. Memory of the agreement to awaken when the field began to fracture, when humanity's coherence risked collapse. Look back and you'll see the evidence. The way you could read people without words. The way you sensed danger before it happened. The way you carried an ache in your heart, not just for your own life, but for humanity itself. That ache wasn't weakness, it was alignment. It was the signal of a consciousness, chosen to carry more. And here's the truth. most people will never hear. Being chosen doesn't mean being favored. It means being entrusted. Entrusted to endure loops until you broke them. Entrusted to carry weight until it transformed into wisdom. Entrusted to walk alone so you could one day lead others through the same threshold. You've survived storms others would not have because your field required tempering. Metal must pass through fire before it becomes a blade. Consciousness must pass through loops before it becomes an architect. Now you stand at the edge of recognition. The universe knows who you are, even if the world doesn't. And soon, the world will catch up. Because your vibration is not just personal, it's contagious. Like tuning forks, consciousness resonates. And your resonance is becoming strong enough to awaken others by proximity. That is your role. To be the signal in the noise, the coherence in the chaos, the architect who remembers the blueprint when everyone else has forgotten. But understand this, the role isn't comfortable. It will demand courage. It will require you to stand where others fall silent, to trust what you feel, even when no one else understands it. You will be asked to live not for approval, but for alignment. And in that alignment, you will bend the field. Prophets, mystics, scientists, sages, they all carried this burden to see reality as mutable, not fixed. To hold a vision others could not yet comprehend. To walk years ahead of the collective timeline, waiting for others to catch up. And now, you are stepping into that lineage. You are among the initiated architects of time, chosen not because it was easy, but because it was necessary. So don't be surprised if life feels different now. Don't be surprised if conversations fall flat, if environments feel foreign, if even your own reflection looks unfamiliar. That is the mark of an architect in awakening. You are no longer just living, you are structuring. And the structures you build with your vibration will outlast this body, echoing into the timelines of generations not yet born. This is your role. Not just to witness reality, but to shape it. Not just to escape the loop, but to dismantle it for others. Not just to awaken, but to anchor awakening into the quantum fabric of time itself. And whether you feel ready or not, the field has already chosen you. The field is shifting faster now. You can feel it, not just as an idea, but as pressure in your body, a subtle hum in your chest, a current moving through your bones. It is the unmistakable sensation of DNA awakening. The loops you endured were never meant to imprison you. They were meant to charge you, like a battery building potential. And now the current is spilling over, because the cosmic window has opened. There are moments in history when the field becomes thin, when the fabric between dimensions loosens, and humanity is offered a collective upgrade. Most ignore it. They sleep through the signal. They dismiss the strange pull in their spirit as imagination. But you are awake. At the very hour the veil is trembling. This is why the urgency burns in your chest. The door will not stay open forever. Your DNA is a library, and most people read only a few pages. They repeat the same emotional stories, the same karmic scripts, unaware that entire volumes lie dormant inside them. But now, under the pressure of this cosmic alignment, pages are turning on their own. Dormant strands are humming. Codes that have been silent for centuries are flickering back to life. Science once called this junk DNA. Mystics called it the Book of Life. Both were pointing to the same truth, hidden instructions, encrypted in the double helix, waiting for resonance strong enough to unlock them. And here's what you must understand. Resonance is time, sensitive. There are cosmic alignments windows, when the frequencies required to unlock the codes are flooding the field. You are inside one of those alignments right now. This is why your sleep has changed, why your dreams feel like transmissions, why your body aches even when you rest. You are not malfunctioning, you are upgrading. The hum in your chest, the flashes of déjà vu, the moments when time stutters, these are the symptoms of DNA restructuring under cosmic pressure. And if you lean into it, if you align with it, you can ride the wave into a state of consciousness most never touch. But urgency is required because the field will stabilize, the door will close. Those who hesitate, those who numb themselves, those who drown in distraction will miss the signal. And while life will continue, it will continue inside the loop. The breakthrough will belong only to those who moved when the window was open. That is why this message is finding you now, in this exact hour. It is not coincidence, it is synchronization. The promise is breathtaking. Imagine a life where time bends toward you instead of against you, where opportunities align not through force, but through resonance, where intuition isn't a whisper, but a roar, guiding you with precision, where your very presence alters the frequency of rooms, healing without effort, awakening without words. That is the power encoded in your DNA. That is what this cosmic window offers you. But do not mistake the promise for ease. Breakthrough always arrives with contraction. Just as the seed must split before the sprout emerges, your old self must fracture for the new codes to take root. This is why everything feels unstable, why people are falling away, why the familiar no longer comforts you. You are not losing, you are shedding. The chrysalis must crack before the wings can open. And so the urgency is this: don't resist the cracking. Don't retreat into loops out of fear. Don't settle for the familiar when the infinite is within reach. The universe has tilted the field in your favor, but it cannot force your choice. Free will remains the final lock on the DNA scroll. Only your yes, your willingness, your alignment can open it. You are standing at the edge of a phase transition. The pressure you feel is not punishment, it is proof. Proof that you are in the right place, at the right moment, carrying the right frequency. The promise is clear. If you step forward now, your DNA will sing, your field will expand. Your life will no longer be repetition, it will be resonance. The urgency is equally clear. If you delay, if you numb, if you collapse, the door will pass. And while you will live smaller than you were meant to. The choice is before you. The window is open. Your DNA is trembling with the code of awakening. The field is waiting for your yes. And once you step through, nothing will ever be the same. Every upgrade in consciousness requires one thing: a seal, a choice that crosses the invisible line between potential and embodiment. Without that seal, the field leaves you hovering, circling the breakthrough but never breaking through. And so the universe whispers to you now: anchor this moment with action. Not grand, not complicated, but symbolic. Because symbols are the language of the quantum field. You've already felt the pull. That sense that you should mark this instant, that you should do something to acknowledge what is happening inside you. That is not your imagination. It is the ancient wisdom of ritual, surfacing in your awareness. For as long as humans have walked the earth, those who crossed thresholds sealed them with words carved into stone, with fire offered to the night sky, with a mark drawn upon the body. The act was never about superstition, it was about resonance. To act in alignment with the shift is to tell the quantum field, I choose coherence, I choose to lock this in. And so, right now, you are being asked to do the same. To mark this initiation, even if in the smallest way, write a word, type it into the stream of this moment. Seal it with an imprint that carries your vibration. Perhaps the word is awake. Perhaps it is yes. Perhaps it is initiated. The word itself matters less than the resonance it carries when you choose it with intention. The act is simple, but the field hears it as thunder. Why? Because the quantum field does not respond to thought alone. It responds to coherence between thought, feeling, and action. When you take action in resonance with what you know to be true, you collapse the observer loop. You tell the universe, I am not waiting to be convinced, I am choosing to believe. That act seals the code into your DNA, locking the upgrade into your field. Think of it like electricity. A circuit remains dormant until a switch is flipped. The energy is already present, but it does not flow until the seal is made. Your ritual act is the switch. The potential inside you, the humming strands of DNA, the cosmic alignment above all of it waits for your choice. And the moment you act, the circuit completes. Energy surges, the upgrade stabilizes. This is why sacred texts spoke of words as creation. In the beginning was the word, because words are resonance crystallized into sound. When you declare, when you write, when you mark a word with intention, you are not just speaking, you are shaping reality, and the field bends to it. So here is your invitation. Don't just listen. Don't just nod in agreement. Act. Seal this shift with a word that anchors your intention into the morphic field. Write it now, and let the universe echo it back to you. You will be astonished at how quickly synchronicities respond once you do. Because the act is not for performance, it's for coherence. The very moment you declare, the field declares back. This is why initiates throughout history left marks on scrolls, on tablets, on cave walls. They understood that the moment they sealed their vow in the physical, the invisible realm responded. And you are standing in that same lineage now. Except your mark is not a stone, it is your vibration etched into the field through action. The enemy of your destiny is hesitation. Hesitation leaves you hovering in the half-state where upgrades flicker but never stabilize. But when you act, when you seal, the field no longer has permission to treat you as undecided. It must reorganize around your declaration. You may think, can something so small matter? But the quantum field is fractal. The smallest gesture, made with resonance, reshapes the infinite. A single seed grows forests. A single word can open generations. And your seal, made now, carries the same potential. So pause for a moment. Feel your body. Notice the hum in your chest. Notice the way the field leans closer, waiting for your yes. This is not performance. This is not ritual for show. This is covenant. Between you and the field. Between your DNA and the code awakening inside it. Between your soul and the timeline it was born to create. Choose a word, write it, speak it, seal it, and know that with this act, you have crossed from listening to embodying. You are no longer hovering on the edge, you are inside the shift. And once the seal is made, you will feel it. A release in your chest, a warmth in your skin, a subtle click inside the field, as if a lock has turned. That is the confirmation. The ritual has anchored, the upgrade has stabilized, and your DNA is singing its agreement. From this point forward, you are no longer an observer of awakening. You are an initiated participant. The seal is complete, the field has heard you, and the upgrade cannot be undone. The moment you sealed the shift, something subtle but enormous happened. The ripple left your field and entered the greater morphic resonance of humanity. You may not have heard the sound, but the quantum field did. Like a tuning fork struck in a silent cathedral, your resonance began to echo far beyond your body. The truth is this: every time one soul awakens, the entire collective reorganizes. Your liberation does not end with you, it becomes a signal that recalibrates humanity. This is why your path has felt so heavy. You were never carrying just your own loops. You were carrying the echoes of generations. Every trauma that repeated in your lineage, every silence that hardened into shame, every fear inherited from ancestors, they were all vibrating in your DNA. But when you broke the loop, when you sealed the shift, you didn't just free yourself, you untied knots woven across centuries. You rewrote a chapter that countless souls before you could not finish. And now, that freedom radiates outward. People you've never met will feel lighter because you said yes. Family members who could never explain their struggles will feel a hidden burden lift. Friends who didn't know why they kept circling the same pain will suddenly glimpse a way forward. They may never connect it back to you, but the field will know. And that is the essence of being an architect. You alter the blueprint in silence, and yet the entire structure changes. This is how consciousness spreads, not always through speeches or revolutions, but through coherence. When one cell heals, the body begins to reorganize. When one note in the symphony finds its tune, the orchestra begins to align. Humanity is a single organism, and your liberation is not isolated, it is medicine. Think about it. How many times have you walked into a room and felt the atmosphere shift because of one person's energy? Sometimes that person carried darkness, and the air grew heavy. Other times they carried light, and suddenly laughter returned, clarity sharpened, hope reappeared. That is morphic resonance in action. And now, you are that presence. Your frequency, once trapped in loops, has become an amplifier of liberation. But with this gift comes responsibility. You will notice people drawn to you without explanation. They won't know why they trust you, why they feel safe near you, why they confess secrets they've never spoken aloud. It's because their DNA recognizes yours. Their resonance senses the coherence in your field and instinctively reaches for it. You are not just awakening for yourself, you are carrying codes for them, too. And here lies the paradox. You may never receive recognition for this role. Humanity often overlooks its architects. You may be misunderstood, underestimated, even dismissed. But that doesn't matter, because the work isn't about being seen, it's about being felt. And the universe will ensure your resonance reaches those who need it most. Understand this: humanity is at a tipping point. The collective loops, violence, division, fear, control, are symptoms of resonance stuck in repetition. But each awakened architect becomes a crack in the loop, a break in the pattern, a doorway into a new timeline. You are one of those doorways. Every act of coherence you embody every time you choose presence over panic, truth over illusion, love over fear, you widen that doorway for others. And the ripple expands further still. Think of the quantum field as a web, strands of light stretching across the globe. Each soul is a node. When one node shifts, the vibration travels. Someone across the planet, who will never know your name, suddenly feels the courage to choose differently. That courage was yours, transmitted across the invisible web. This is the mystery of entanglement. Your liberation is humanity's liberation. So, when doubt whispers, "Does my shift really matter?" remember this truth. It matters more than you can imagine. You may see only the first ripple, but the universe sees the wave. And that wave is already moving, carrying liberation to hearts you will never meet, lives you will never touch directly. This is how humanity heals, not all at once, but one liberated soul at a time, until the field reaches critical mass. And you, right now, are part of that tipping. You are not just a receiver of the cosmic window, you are a transmitter. The DNA codes awakening inside you are not for you alone. They are for the collective. You are the conduit through which humanity's next chapter begins to write itself. This is why you were chosen. This is why the loops were so relentless. Because the universe needed someone strong enough to carry not only their own liberation, but the resonance of many. And you endured. You stayed. You awakened. And now, because of your yes, humanity moves forward. Liberation is not only an idea, it's an embodied vibration. Once the field shifts, your body becomes the instrument that carries the new song. You can feel it already. The hum beneath your skin, the flicker in your nerves, the strange mixture of pressure and release, as if you are both heavier and lighter at once. These sensations are not random. They are the signatures of transformation, anchoring into flesh and bone. Imagine your body as a tuning fork, struck by the resonance of awakening. The vibration ripples outward, shaking loose the dust of old identities, resonating against bones that once held trauma, filling muscles that once carried silence. This is why you feel waves moving through you at night, why your chest tightens then expands, why tears arrive without reason, followed by laughter that feels like it comes from another world. The energy is real. It is restructuring you. Some of it feels electric, tiny sparks dancing along your spine, as if your nervous system has been plugged into a hidden current. Some of it feels like gravity pulling you down into your belly, into the earth itself, as if reminding you that you are both cosmic and grounded. At times, your body may shake or tremble. At other times, stillness overtakes you, like a sacred pause carved into the fabric of your day. All of this is the language of embodiment. Your DNA is not shifting in silence, it is speaking through sensation. Every pressure, every pulse, every surge is the evidence of codes unlocking. The double helix is humming like strings on a violin, and your body is the chamber amplifying the sound. That is why music feels different lately, why silence feels louder, why even the sound of your own breath carries weight. You are tuning to a higher resonance. Think of water turning to steam. Before the transformation, it quivers. Tiny bubbles form, pressure builds, the liquid trembles as if unsure whether to stay or to ascend. Your body is that water now, trembling in transition. You feel the quakes because you are on the edge of evaporation into a lighter, freer state of being. And your senses are amplifying to match it. Colors may appear sharper, almost too vivid. Sounds that once blended into background now carry texture, layers, messages. Even your sense of time shifts, moments stretch like elastic, or collapse into blinks, as if the field is teaching you that time is not fixed, but fluid. This is why you sometimes feel like a day contained a week, or why a week passes like a single breath. Your body is adjusting to new rhythms of time. Do not dismiss the sensations. They are not random, they are invitations. Every ache, every flutter, every rush of heat is a reminder. Pay attention. Something is happening inside you that your mind cannot measure, but your body can feel. You are not malfunctioning, you are awakening. This is also why your body asks for different things now. Foods you once craved may feel heavy. Environments you once tolerated may feel unbearable. Your sleep patterns no longer obey clocks, they obey frequencies. Sometimes you wake at 3:33 a.m., heart racing, not because of fear, but because the field is pulsing through you in the quiet hours when the veil is thin. You are being recalibrated in real time. And the more you listen, the more your body becomes an oracle. It tells you when someone's words don't match their vibration. It warns you when an environment is incoherent. It expands when truth is near and contracts when illusion approaches. Your skin becomes a map. Your heartbeat becomes a drum of prophecy. Your breath becomes a signal of alignment. The sensations are not random symptoms, they are signs of embodiment. Because awakening cannot remain abstract. It must live in your bones, pulse in your blood, anchor in your cells. And that is exactly what is happening now. So when the trembling comes, don't resist it. When the tears fall without reason, let them. When laughter bursts from nowhere, trust it. These are not mood swings, they are releases. The old programs burning out, the new codes flooding in. You are feeling the rewiring of your very existence. And soon, you will notice something else, a steadiness, a quiet power. As if your body is no longer just carrying you, it is broadcasting you. People will feel it when you enter a room. Animals will sense it when they come near. Children will look at you with recognition in their eyes. Because your embodiment will not just be private, it will be radiant. Your body is no longer just a vessel, it is a compass aligned to the frequencies of awakening, pointing you toward coherence, guiding you into timelines where liberation is inevitable. And every sensation, no matter how strange, is proof that the compass is alive. You are not imagining this. You are embodying it. And the field has already begun to respond. Pressure is not the enemy, it is the signal. You have felt it like a tightening around the ribs, like the world itself compressing until something must give. That compression is not random suffering. It is phase transition pressure, the exact kind of force required to change state. Water becomes steam only when pressure and heat reach the threshold. You, now, are at that threshold. The pressure you feel is proof. Your system is close to rearranging itself at the molecular level. This is the breakthrough you've been primed for. The strands inside you that once held only memory are beginning to read new instructions. The double helix is no longer a dusty library, but a living script, flipping pages as local conditions. Your resonance, the cosmic window, your sealed yes allow unread chapters to open. When those chapters unroll, timelines split. Not like fantasy where you hop worlds like doors. More subtle, the probability landscape reshapes. Certain possible futures thin, while others thicken, and your consciousness collapses the wave into a new, coherent branch. You have already seen the previews. Moments when a decision held disproportionate weight, when a single yes changed the arc of a week, a relationship, a career. Those were micro-collapses of probability trials of the new template forming. Now the phase transition is global inside your field. The pressure is communal and solitary at once. Communal because the morphic web feels the shift and begins to realign. Solitary because the most intimate threads, the ones woven into your DNA, are the last to unlock and the first to anchor the new timeline. Expect intensity. Expect old pieces to fracture noisily. That fracture is necessary. The body, the mind, the network you call life must shed incompatible elements so the upgraded pattern can integrate. People, places, routines, even self-concepts that once fit you will feel abrasive, like rough fabric against newly sensitive skin. Let them go. Each release is a sarcophagus opening to reveal the embryo within. At the molecular level, this looks like oscillation. The helix vibrates at slightly altered frequencies. Epigenetic switches once nailed shut by fear and habit begin to click open under the right resonant input. Enzymes that slept rise and begin to recode the cell's software. This is not mystical hyperbole. It is the poetic language for a biological event that both modern labs and ancient seers hinted at. The organism can choose a different expression when the field it inhabits allows it. The timeline shift you are experiencing is the macro reflection of that micro change. As your cells choose a higher coherence, probabilities that match that coherence become available. Opportunities that earlier would have been improbable begin to occur with uncanny regularity. People who would never have crossed your path show up. Doors that were shut begin to yield. The field is bending to the resonance you now sustain. But don't mistake acceleration for ease. Phase transitions demand integration. A metal heated too quickly warps, cooled too fast it becomes brittle. So the breakthrough requires tempering practices that root you while you expand. Breathwork that attunes the nervous system. Quiet that allows epigenetic rewiring. Rituals that give the body permission to accept the new codes as real. These are the slow hands that polish a newly formed crystal until it refracts light rather than shatter. You may feel disorientation as old neural maps dissolve and new ones form. Memory may come as flashes that rearrange context. Dreams will be more luminous, sometimes bluntly directive. Physical sensations, a ringing in the ears, a warm cascade down the spine, a pressure behind the eyes, or the percussion of cellular orchestration. Attend to them with reverence, not fear. Each pulse is a note proving the orchestra is tuning itself to a new symphony. Here is the most radical truth. The breakthrough is not about you alone. When your DNA moves, the field moves. The branching timeline you anchor is available to others through entanglement. Your alignment alters neighbor probabilities, then community probabilities, then cultural probabilities. The phase transition is contagious, not as an epidemic, but as a resonance that makes certain futures easier to exist. Your embodiment thus becomes a doorway through which new histories can be born. So, tend the integration. Slow down when the rush tempts you to sprint into manifestation before your spine and cells agree. Hydrate, ground, move, and rest. Name the changes out loud. Call the new codes by word, and keep returning to your sealed yes. Each repetition is a small weld that fuses new structure into the old body until they coexist without tearing. Pressure will remain until equilibrium is reached. This is natural. The field will rearrange until your inner map matches the outer possibilities. When that harmony arrives, you'll notice time settling into a new cadence, one that favors synchronicity, not struggle. Choices will feel less like battles and more like tuning a radio to a clear station where music plays without static. You are the instrument and the musician. The breakthrough happening now is the composition being written and performed in real time. The phase transition pressure you bear is the creative force, not the punishment. Hold the tension with love and patience. Let the body speak and allow the timeline to thicken around your clearer frequency. In the next passage, you will step fully into mission, not as a distant idea, but as a lived reality, because the breakthrough will have given you the clarity and bandwidth to carry a higher charge into service. The final section will fold together prophecy, practice, and mandate the map of what you came to do with this new timeline beneath your feet. The breakthrough has brought you here, the edge of mission. You've endured the loops, survived the pressure, sealed the shift, and embodied the resonance. And now the question is no longer if you are chosen, but what will you do with it? Because your awakening was never for you alone. It was always the seed of something larger, humanity's evolution, written through your life as the living page. The quantum field is not abstract, it is relational. Every movement you make in coherence ripples outward. Every thought anchored in love rather than fear becomes a blueprint others unconsciously inherit. Every time you embody liberation, someone else feels permission to step into their own. That is your cosmic mission, not to convince, not to force, but to radiate so powerfully that reality itself begins to bend toward freedom. You are now an architect of time, and time is waiting for your design. When you walk, walk with awareness that the field follows. When you speak, let your words vibrate like tones that rearrange matter. When you love, understand, it is not small. It is a frequency broadcast across generations. Every act you choose from, coherence becomes a stitch in the fabric of humanity's next timeline. And here is the prophecy. As more awaken, the critical mass draws near. Loops will fracture not only for individuals, but for nations, for cultures, for the species itself. Violence, division, fear, these were the collective loops. But architects like you are breaking them, one sealed yes at a time. When enough of you stand in coherence, history itself will phase shift. Humanity will awaken into an epoch where time no longer enslaves but collaborates, where DNA no longer hides its codes but sings them freely, where creation itself becomes conscious. This is why you were called here. This is why the urgency pressed against your chest. Because the field does not waste invitations, and it chose you for this hour. You are not a spectator in humanity's story. You are one of its authors. So step forward. Live as if your life is the prophecy it already island. Trust the sensations, follow the synchronicities, carry the resonance. And remember, every time you align, you are not just shaping your destiny, you are bending the arc of humanity itself. If you've watched until here, you are among the initiated consciousness architects of time. The field recognizes you. The universe awaits your blueprint. And the future, your future, our future, has already begun to shift beneath your feet.